episode 154.
And I think we are too quick to fire in a lot of cases, instead of train, instead of work with the individual. That has been a problem in the industry. On one hand, when it comes to technicians, we're way too slow to terminate. But when it comes to management, we're too quick to fire.
Welcome, aftermarketers, to Remarkable Results Radio. Listen to learn just one thing from today's episode on your journey to remarkable results. Hello, aftermarketers throughout North America and around the world. Carm Capriato here, and thank you for listening to Remarkable Results Radio. Welcome to episode 154 with Ray Kunz from ACT. This episode, it's brought to you by Federal Mogul Motor Parts and Garage Gurus for serious technical training and support online, on-site, and on demand. Garage Gurus is everything you need to know. Find out more at fmgaragegurus.com. Count yourself in the growing population that enjoys podcasts. 21% of Americans 12 and older say they have listened to a podcast in the last month, a total of 57 million people. Monthly podcast listening in the U.S. has increased 23% in the last year. Such great stats as podcasting is in its golden age right now. I want to thank you for being such a loyal and engaged listener. Podcast awareness among all Americans is at 55%, and 71% of Americans now listen to podcasts on a phone or a tablet. And back in 2013, only 42% of podcasts were consumed on the go. And as you know, the podcast is on subscription services, Apple iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher Radio, and Spreaker. Don't hesitate to subscribe to any of these on-the-go sites and get every new episode directly downloaded to your device. Hey, now meet Ray Kunz from ACT, the Automotive Coaching and Training Group. Ray and I got to focus on growing a positive culture in your organization. We covered employee meetings, hiring practices, the outdated size 12 management style, creating an employee safe zone, love in an organization, and the biggest issues he sees today as a business coach. As you may have figured out, there's a lot packed into this episode. Now, enjoy the insights of Ray Kunz. Here we go. Hey, nice to be with Ray Kunz from Automotive Coaching and Training, the ACT Group. Hey, Ray, are you ready to go on point?
I am ready, Carm. Hit it.
You and I had a great pre-call, and I learned so much from you. And what I really learned was the importance of culture in a business. Right up my alley. You know, purpose, culture. So how important is culture in a small, medium, large business?
Well, I think it's important regardless of the size of the business. Culture is what it is the business, and culture is what our customers come for. Culture is what how we handle things within the business. Mm-hmm. It is the business. The culture of management and how we get it is training. How we deal with people is through training. Mm-hmm. One of the things that you and I had talked about was the respect versus fear and intimidation mm-hmm. in training and in working with your people or working in your personal life. It doesn't matter whether it's business or personal.
Right.
Do we utilize a size 12 for everything? Used to work 20 years ago.
Got it.
Now the size 12 is a real bad thing. And with millennials, it's even worse.
So you can't kick people in the butt to get them to do what you want to do. And I mean, I think so many of us have known that forever. And are you still telling me there's a big gap out there?
There is a big gap. And unfortunately, what I've seen of late is that it's coming back. You know, we see a lot of trends come back to us years later. Mm-hmm. I've started to see a couple of clients and a couple of problems with this size 12 mentality, and it simply doesn't work. People aren't happy. My clients aren't happy. Their employees aren't happy, and that transfers to customers.
All right, so let me make an assumption that the owner, he's a great leader, but within his company he may have some number 12s. And he is wondering why he's churning. His people are, coming and they're great people, and all of a sudden they decide to leave because they're not happy. And how is he going to find out that he's got this problem?
Great question, Carm. This problem and how he finds out is simply through talking to his people. I am an absolute advocate that you as an owner need to at least twice a year take each employee out to lunch and make it a loose business lunch. And by loose, I mean this is a safe zone kind of thing.
Sure.
You can say anything you want here, short of talking about my mother. You can say anything you want. Tell me about the business. Tell me how things are, the goods, the bads, the uglies. That's what I do when I go in to the shops and work with them. I talk to the employees because I generally will get more information from them than I can get from the owners or the managers themselves.
As an owner, and I know this for a fact, exit interviews are like huge to find out. Obviously, I can't change your mind, but can you tell me, all right, you're gone, you're done, you're walking out here in a second. Why are you leaving?
One of the key things to exit interviews, why are you leaving? And exit interviews are, again, it's like a thing of the past. Very few shops are doing them. Even the shops that I'm involved with, they have a problem getting them done. Exit interviews are those things where you learn so much about what has happened, what has gone on within your business, and yet we're done, see you later, making changes.
Wait a minute. I just can't believe that. I'm sorry, I can't. If you're the guy who's leaving, and it's Carm's shop, and I'm going up to you and says, listen, I found out I'm very sad, but noon, you and I are going to sit down and do an exit interview. How hard was that?
It's not. And it doesn't require a lot of talent. One of the things that we have to be careful of with exit interviews is how much information we put out because, well, I'm in California, and California is a sue-happy state. But that being said, if the employee is leaving us, we can ask virtually anything. And it's not difficult, yet very, very few people are doing it.
Well, in my thinking, and I've done a bunch of these, is you really try to ask a lot of open-ended questions, and you try not to say a whole hell of a lot because there's no saving that individual. I mean, if your intention to do an exit interview was to try to save that person from not leaving, then you're wrong. Your intention is to learn the most you can about your business, how it works in their mind, what was wrong with it, why they're leaving. What do they see coming up that the grass is greener on the next fence post? Am I right about that?
You're absolutely correct. And again, and yet we can't get them done. That is the key here is to get more information about your shop if you're the owner of the business and find out, again, the goods, the bads, the uglies about your business, the internal workings.
You wrote a great article, Commands Respect, Demands Respect. So if I'm an owner and I find out that I got a size 12 putting their foot up people's butts, I got to go out and change that because I obviously have people that are demanding respect, not commanding respect. I pick up the phone and I say, Ray, I got a problem. Give me a couple of ideas as to what I could do to fix it.
Well, a couple ideas. Training is the biggest thing. And I think we are too quick to fire in a lot of cases instead of train, instead of work with the individual. That has been a problem in the industry. On one hand, when it comes to technicians, we're way too slow to terminate. But when it comes to management, we're too quick to fire.
Yeah, I know. I've always believed in that. Hire slow, fire fast. Now, if you hired slow, you wouldn't have to worry too much about firing fast because what you're looking for, and tell me if I'm right or wrong here, is a cultural fit.
Without question. Culture, again, it goes back to culture is everything within that business.
What's amazing is you see a person, in your eyes, their resume is strong, they are a superstar in your mind. But there's something in your intuition that says they may not fit with the rest of the group because we do our things this way. I know Bobby does this and Johnny does that and Sally does this. And here comes this maybe wild card. That's where the culture starts either getting better, stays the same, or it starts deteriorating.
Yes, it does. And I've learned through the years, trust your gut. And if there's one thing that we can, put in this, is trust your gut. If you don't get the warm fuzzies initially, you're not going to build the warm fuzzies.
I'm talking with Jonathan Cichelli, a technical product specialist with Federal Mogul Motor Parts. Now, you're visiting shops every day, so when you put product in the hands of the technicians and service advisors, what are they saying?
Going back to Federal Mogul's long-term presence in the industry, they already know the product, and some of them we don't have to say much about. It's the newer product, the latest innovations that we come out with that just blow people away.
So, Jonathan, you take that brand new OEX pad and you put it into the hands of a technician. What happens?
They look at it and are kind of speechless for a couple seconds, and they just can't deny that it's an awesome-looking product, and they can't deny that it's going to work fantastic on their vehicles.
Now, another phenomenal product line that is just one of the most iconic brands in the entire industry is Moog. Now, there's a lot going on with Moog.
The newest thing with Moog is going to be, I think, the most important thing to the shops is the newer design ball joint that we created, and that was off of technicians' responses to a boot design.
That's that compression-loaded ball joint with the pre-installed integral dust boot?
Absolutely. And as soon as I pull that out of a box and show a technician or a shop owner, they just were like, this is amazing.
So, Jonathan, would you say that you're a champion for Federal Mogul Motor Parts and all the premium products?
Absolutely.
And a champion for all the training?
I'm very big on training. I've always been in training since I've been in the professional field. So just to come back and support on the other end has just been an awesome experience.
Federal Mogul Motor Parts' Garage Gurus is your go-to source for the vehicle training, technology, and answers you need to keep your next job on track. On-site, online, or on demand, the Gurus are here to help keep your business and your career on the road to success. Visit fmgarageguru.com. Intuition. You just told me that. I've always been a person that's believed my gut. I have that. Can people learn that?
Probably not. I think there is certainly people born with it. And I think those are people that have a tendency to do better in the big picture because they've learned to trust it throughout time. It's never let them down.
So you're a good friend. I'm in a 20 group. You're my coach, and I'm have to hire. Okay. And I do my second interview, and I'm not quite sure. I may not have good intuition, but I'm not quite sure. Would you recommend that I pick up the phone and call a peer or you and say, hey, let me run this resume, or because a lot of times when you talk this stuff out, boom, the idea or the thing that's bothering you comes to mind.
Absolutely. One of the things that we offer is that we will call prospective employees and run through a series of tests. Now, I'm not really into the technician side of it because there's no psychology involved, and it's more about the management or the service advisor side of it. A lot more psychology there.
But cultural fit, you agree, makes the difference in the world. And if you were hiring, I guess, a service writer or someone in the management team, you're looking for someone that commands respect.
Absolutely. And you see those people when they walk through the door, the way they carry themselves, the way they present themselves. Again, this goes back to the gut thing. You can see that command of respect immediately.
Is there any kind of test out there that an entrepreneur owner could literally take himself that helps him understand if his employees are, the general mood of his place, if employees are working harder, how happy they are? I mean, to give him a general idea of the strength of his culture?
I don't know of a test for that specifically. There are the DISC assessment tests. There are the personality tests. And we do those with our shops as they feel that they're appropriate. And we can learn a lot about employees. We were at a shop yesterday where we learned a tremendous amount about not only the owner and how he deals with things, but the employees and how they dealt with things. And it gave us a better understanding into the training that each one of them needed.
I know DISC, and I know what you mean about, it's that human behavior, the communications model. I get that. But I keep thinking, is there anything that I could literally sit down, a 10 or 20, 30 question, me, entrepreneur, this is my test to take. My level of evaluation as to how strong is my culture inside my business. As I evaluate my people, I evaluate my customer reactions, I evaluate what's going on inside my business. Anything? Do you ever hear anything like that?
I haven't, Karn.
All right.
And might not be a bad idea.
Maybe
to
we
develop.
should make one. Maybe we should make one. Because I guess the point is that this episode is about culture, and I love it. I love to hear what you have to say. But at the end of the day, where does an individual say, all right, I'm ready. We've got to make the moves. What's my first step?
It's a great question. And I think after this interview, maybe you and I need to sit down and talk about what we could put together. The problem with things like that is it's almost cookie cutter-ish. And the one thing that I know being in this industry for the last 20 years is that you can't put everybody into the same mold. Regardless of what you believe will work, everything changes from shop to shop to shop. The demographics of the shop, the size of the shop, the number of employees of the shop. So it makes it very difficult to come up with all-encompassing tests, if you will, that can help you determine what's going on. And that's why I go back to owners need to take their employees out and just sit down and have a conversation.
Got it.
Conversation is the key word there because it doesn't happen so often anymore. We both know that.
Yeah, it doesn't. You're absolutely right. And let me go out on a limb and say, and you'd be more of an expert than me, owners have a tough time doing that?
Yes, they do. Owners have a tough time remembering what it was like once upon a time to be an employee. Managers still, even if they were they are an employee, but they forget what it was like when they were coming up through the ranks. And yeah, the kudos that should be dished out in every single shop to every employee that deserves them fall way behind. The reviews fall way behind.
So let me go back to this thing you and I are going to work on. Mission, vision, values are such great foundations for a business to know, what is it that they do, where they're going, and what they believe in. But of late, I am the biggest fan of purpose. Mm-hmm. And if we know what our purpose is, then many of the decisions that we make with peers and with customers all drive that purpose. And say our purpose was we were going to make our customers' vehicle reliability the best they've ever had. Wow! Every day I think to my mechanic my technician on the left, my technician on the right, my service writer, my owner. We all know what our purpose is.
And I think if shops were to focus on the customer experience just as a whole, that is really the purpose behind what we're doing. Without the total, complete customer experience, which again goes back to happy employees, happy customers, that would make a much better overall experience for everybody.
Got it. Okay, off subject just a bit. I heard about Ray Kunz. I picked up the phone, got your number. What are the customers of yours that are coming on board? What are their biggest problems?
Understanding of numbers. People believe that car count fixes everything, and car count doesn't fix everything. I've got a number of shops that when I first started working with them, their car count actually is sufficient. Their productivity was insufficient for the car count, but the car count was good. So I think understanding of numbers is one of the biggest keys.
And what portion of it? I mean, is it strictly productivity or is it margin?
Well, it's margin. There's a half a dozen different things that we look at, key performance indicators, if you will, that I look at that are all relatable to each other.
Okay, so you fix a lot of those numbers and a lot happen on a financial basis.
Correct.
What else?
Well, I work on the numbers end of it. I have people that work on the service end of it and train service writers to be better with their customers, because that's something that really, unless you're listening to phone calls, you have no idea how you are doing with your customers on the phone. So we listen to calls, we go in and talk to the service advisors and work with them on the specifics of those calls.
It's got to be the most enlightening thing for a service writer to hear themselves and say, that wasn't me, was it?
Well, enlightening might be a slightly bigger word than they'd like to see. But, I did, when I first started listening to phone calls a couple years back, 3 years ago, I went out and actually kind of got onto a tangent where that service writer is failing miserably. We need to replace him. And then I listened to another shops, and that service writer was failing, and that, and that, and that. And I called a very good friend of mine and said, I'm on my way right now to terminate a service advisor that's been with this company a long time. And I just wanted your input. I said, you've listened to phone calls for years. What do you do? He said, well, I was going to do the same thing. I was going to fire my entire staff initially. And I called a friend of mine, a mentor of mine, and asked him, and he said, perfect opportunity to train. And little light bulb went off, and it's, wow. So instead of going and terminating, I went and we sat down and we talked about the rights and the wrongs. And most service advisors, just like most owners that happen to occasionally answer the phone, that's not me. I didn't say that. Well, I've got it recorded right here. So yes, it was you. And let's listen to it together.
Up over the head, knock on the noggin, huh?
Big one.
Yeah.
Big one.
And I like what you say about training. If you got good stock, it's not being a knock on anyone's basic qualities. But if the basic qualities and the loyalty is there, you got to train. That's what you're saying?
You have to train.
You can't churn. You got to train.
Turning people just creates more problems, more issues, because now you have to train them anyway. Why not take what you had that had potential that you'd invested time and money in already and train those people instead of retraining new over and over and over because you're turning.
Tell me about the success rate for service advisor training. I mean, are they getting it, or are there or do you end up having to suggest that they find a different job at the end of the training?
There's always those that don't get it.
All right.
But part of the initial discussions with them before we even hire them, we can weed out a lot of this. We go through a series of psychology questions that allows us kind of an insight into who these people are beforehand. So we know we have the basics covered, or we don't have the basics covered, and we're going to move on. But we've got the basics covered, and we've got a good foundation to build on.
You were talking about the DISC test before.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in to get the right person in the right job. Now, would you do that for a service writer to be sure that they understand themselves and how to have conversations with other people?
I would do that after we were in process, because we need to teach them about them as well. If we got to the point where we had hired them, they've already passed a number of tests that we know are very, very functional, and we get great results from them. So yes, I would do the DISC assessment, but I would do it after the fact, personally.
Got it.
Just because I want to use it with them to help them. Hey,
we've had a great interview. I thank you so much. What else should we, one other tidbit that we should know about from your passion as a coach?
In the big scheme of things, I think we need to get back to treating people like we wanted to be treated. Our employees, our customers. Actually, I think platinum would be we should treat people better than we want to be treated. Because ultimately, we're going to keep everybody happy. Everybody's experience is going to be better in that, doing it that way.
Great words. Now, finally, Ray Kunz from ACT Group, the Automotive Coaching and Training Group, give us some great words to live by.
Do what you love. Be passionate about it.
Go strong.
There you go.
Cool. Hey.
I would have said that.
You're a blast. Thanks for being on. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, Carm. Thank you.
Hey, Aftermarketers, thanks for joining us. Now, there's more on Ray Kunz on the episodes page at remarkableresults.biz/E154. I'm very interested in your ideas, insights, and or comments. Just email me at carm@remarkableresults.biz or head over to the contact page on the website. Thank you for helping spread the word on the Aftermarket's premier podcast that delivers powerful insights and stories for you each week. Entrepreneurs, technicians, distributors, manufacturers, students, educators are among the many industry professionals that listen each week. So keep sharing the wisdom with your friends and peers, and until next time. Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from another inspiring aftermarket professional. Until next time.